start your guys' tour. Our first stop is Sandy Bottom. This has all of our sharks in here. We actually have a total of 15 sharks here at Ocean World. We try and keep all of them in the one area.
Where's the baby?
Here's another little shark.
Whoa.
There's a flounder.
We go back upstairs.
Yeah. Sorry,
So
man.
95% of our sharks here at Ocean World are actually our leopard sharks, which are those guys in there with the spots and the prints on them. Just like human beings, none of us share the same types of fingerprints, so none of these leopard sharks share the same types of markings, which is pretty neat as well. They're actually part of the less than 5% of sharks that have learned to pump water through their mouths and out through their gills so they can rest on the bottom of the ground. 95% of sharks in the world, like a great white or a hammerhead, actually need to continue swimming through the water or else they'll drown themselves.
What kind of shark is that? The one
Is it
without?
the smooth one?
Yeah.
So that's our smoothhound shark. He's commonly called a dog shark. He's not really a dog shark. He's actually part of a distant cousin of a dog shark. But he's pretty cool because he actually looks almost like a leopard shark without the prints on them, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so that baby leopard shark's actually name is Pumpkin.
Oh, he's little.
These leopard sharks are bottom feeders and scavengers, which means they'd rather have their food come to them than chase their food. They also only eat the fish that's already dead or swims pretty close to the ground. I do too. Dolphins are good. If you guys actually were to look inside of this little cave hut thing, you guys would see our swell shark. He's our one and only swell shark. He can actually absorb water to twice his size when he feels threatened. And he'll swell up. When he no longer feels threatened, he'll release that water and make a barking noise like a dog. He's also nocturnal, which means he sleeps during the day, and he actually sleeps with his mouth open. That white thing in his mouth is not a marshmallow, it's actually his tongue. He glows in the dark at night. So he attracts other types of fish, and he actually wakes up to a pretty tasty breakfast, which is pretty cool.
Have you seen him blow up?
I haven't seen him blow up. I saw him swim for the first time the other day, and I was like, what? You move? Over here in our fingerpet section, the closer you guys are to the glass, the more these guys will show off for you. Cora's pretty big show off.
Oh, these two are fighting.
So we have a total of 5 pinnipeds here at Ocean. We try to keep all 4 of them in the water at all times. We actually have little Fergie in the water right now. She's our northern fur seal. She's about 2 years old and weighs about 28 pounds, which is pretty cool. She's more of a seal lion than she is a seal, which is kind of weird, but it is normally called a northern fur seal. Along with Fergie, we also have our 2 sea lions, Cora and Pearl. Those are the brown slick animals with the really big front flippers and the really big back flippers. Those guys are pretty neat because they can actually glide through the water at high speeds of 25 miles per hour and can do so because of their really big front flippers.
What about the one that's like white?
Ow!
That's Wyatt. He's our harbor seal.
He has 2 fins on the back.
Yeah, they all do. So Wyatt actually is not our only harbor seal. We actually have another one. He's about 250 pounds and his name is Foley. He's actually one of our older animals here, so he does nap throughout the day very frequently, and that's what he's doing upstairs right now. You guys will get to see a presentation with these guys at the end of your tour as well.
Is that a baby?
Yes. Over here in our Rocky Bottom exhibit, you may notice a few of these fish are a little grumpy, upset, or angry. Do not worry, they are highly trained professionals to be judging you as really fast. Yeah, many fishermen on the West Coast actually call these guys codfish. But they're actually rockfish. They do make up a lot of fish delicacies like fish and chips and fish tacos, which are my personal favorite.
Okay, thank you.
Those guys you see laying on the ground are actually not dead. These guys on average move about 10 miles a day, taking 2 to 3 breaths a minute. So not only do they think like a rock, but they also move like one too. Those longer fish you guys see in there actually are sablefish. Those guys are our adolescents. You'll see some fully grown ones in our open ocean exhibit when we make our way down there.
Look at that little tiny one.
We also do have a few cabezons in here. If you guys can look back here against the pipes, you guys might see them. It's kind of blended in a little bit.
Oh yeah, I see
Oh,
it.
yeah, wow.
But he has those very distinct Kylie Jenner lips, which is pretty neat to identify him by. Of course, there still is plenty of time on this half of the aquarium. When you guys are ready to move on, you guys can follow this exhibit all the way down to our open ocean and maybe see a few Dungeness crabs on your way down.
You see that fish right there? He's not even moving. He looks like a rock
Kind of.
on the back.
Yeah, yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
got everyone?
Yep.
All right. Look, there's a sucker fish right here.
Keep
Just
moving.
chilling. Sorry, Pat.
Back here. Brooklyn, we'll find them when we get here.
Was it a jellyfish? Oh, look at the crab.
Yeah.
Why is it eating the sand?
Oh, okay.
That's a big one right there.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, look at that.
That's my favorite right
Look
there.
at this stingray right here. Look at him.
No, that's a
Hey,
sturgeon.
buddy.
Where's the big stingray?
Right up there.
So over here in our open ocean, we have a wide variety of different types of animals. The one that seems to catch everyone's eye is our stingrays. There's actually 40 different species of rays in the world. Most common is a California bat ray, which are these guys in here. These guys are pretty neat because they can actually reach a length of about 6 feet long, weighing over 200 pounds.
What are those giant fish?
You guys may notice that they're smiling against the glass. I don't want you guys to feel too special. I've caught them doing that to a few people today. You may notice that a few of our guys are also missing their stingers, and those guys are our rescues. We're not entirely sure what happened to them. We do have a few theories that they could have been caught in some trawling, some fish lining, in a boating accident, or running from something pretty big like a predator.
Babe, look at this.
Whatever the reason is, when they lose their stingers, they don't grow back, so they're deemed unreleasable. But they get to hang out here with us the rest of their lives, which is pretty cool too.
How did you guys get them?
Because their stingers don't grow back, so they can't really defend themselves out in the wild.
How did you get them?
Fishermen actually found them out in the ocean.
No, the big sturgeon.
That's not a catfish. This is so giant.
Oh, the stingray?
Sturgeon. So we've actually named all 3 of our rays in our waters. We have Nubby, she's a pretty big girl, you can't miss her. Stubbles is a medium guy, and our little baby we call Sugar Ray.
Sugar ray.
Along with our rays, we also have those prehistoric fish in there. Those guys are a white sturgeon. On average, a white sturgeon can reach the length of about 18 feet long, weighing over 900 pounds. The biggest one we have in here is about 7 feet long, weighing about 330, 350 pounds. So he's not as big as some of the guys that are outside. For a white sturgeon to reach the length of about 6 feet, they have to be at least 65 years old.
Is it based on the size of water that they're in? Is that why it's not growing?
No, he's still growing, but it's just they take a long time. For them to at least reach 60, they have to be at least there.
What's their age?
150.
Our stingrays are only able to get this big.
They can actually get bigger than this. So those little white bumps you guys see on the outside of the white sturgeon are actually its exoskeleton, so the fish inside has no bones. With them having no bones, they also have no teeth, so they actually use their gums to grind up all their food and consumes it that way. White sturgeon are also anatomous, which means they can transfer between saltwater and freshwater. So these guys are swimming in numerous lakes, rivers, and oceans as well.
Baby, you saw that shark whale outside? Shark.
Yeah, they do make a pretty good camouflage.
Stingray could get bigger than this.
It's a little bit of a mix
One
between
without
these
the
guys.
stingray. Look at his face.
Stingray. Where's some more?
Yeah, that's what these guys are in here. I know, it's kind of crazy. Some dinosaurs actually did have feathers. Yeah, so birds are technically a reptile. And a dinosaur, yeah. So those longer fish you guys see in there that don't have any stripes or bumps on them, those guys are actually our sablefish. There were some still adolescent ones in our rocky bottom. These ones are our fully grown ones. These guys are actually pretty neat because they can keep up with the sturgeon in age and live roughly about 94 to 110 years old, which is pretty neat.
How come they're all chilling together?
The stingrays?
Yeah.
So the stingrays actually don't have any sense of personal space and will run into anyone and anything that gets in their way. These guys like to cuddle sometimes. It's
I'm
a little
noticing.
dangerous for them, but...
Okay. There's some big stingray.
And last but not least, we have our striped bass in here. Those are the guys with the 6 to 9 stripes on their bellies. They're actually originally from the Atlantic Ocean. They migrated to the Pacific in the early 1800s. I personally think they lost track of where they were going and were too tired to swim on, so they just settled down here anyway.
Look at that little tiny one.
Over here in our sandy bottom exhibit, it's just the rest of our sharks. You guys may also notice some smaller fish swimming around in here, and those guys are our 3-spined stickleback. We actually got a few few anchovies in here earlier. They snuck in with our anchovies. We didn't mean to eat them, but when we got them, they found out that they were a win-win situation for us. They actually work as a filter to help keep the water clean for our sharks, and they're actually carnivores as well. So they pick up any of the dead fish the sharks don't finish, which is pretty cool too. No, so these guys are not really designed for hunting, so they don't put any effort into trying.
They're scavengers.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see any.
What's the flatfish floating around?
Oh, you guys did see one of those guys? Yeah. So that's a starry flounder. He's actually born as a normal fish swimming straight up. It isn't until about a month or 2 months old that his left eye travels to the other side of his face. And then he flops over into like a flatfish the rest of his life. So he doesn't actually wake up on the wrong side.
He's got down.
Whoa.
Make that.
This one. Just there.
Yeah, I saw it when I was over there. 'Cause it's in this big area, right? Yeah, I saw it when I was over there.
So of course there still is plenty of time down here, folks, so to see any of the exhibits you feel like you didn't get to see enough of. When you guys are ready though, you guys can lead the way up these stairs and gather around the pool to pet our leopard shark. I do ask that there are no hands in the water just yet. I have a few rules to go over when I get up there, but you guys can lead the way.
Come on, Carter, right now.
Not yet. You gotta wait.
I know, they just gotta hang out, huh? Yeah, we're gonna go up and wait, okay? We're not gonna get to touch, we have to wait. Because we're all done down here, we'll let everyone else check off the areas that we've seen already. Yeah, because everyone else can kind of still
Go.